My name is Marc Stingley. I'm the Director of Coach and Player Development for USTA Northern. I've been in this position for about 5 years. I've been in the tennis industry actually ever since I graduated college. So it's been almost a lifelong journey for me. Just happy to be here on behalf of USTA Northern section. Who wants to go next? We'll pass it over to Jose.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Jose Williamson III. Not to be mistaken with my father. But I am currently the College Connections Coordinator for Inner City Tennis. And I've been in this role for a little over a year now. Previously a part of the Lifetime family over at Bloomington South, was coaching there for 3.5 years. And similar to you, Marc, I got into it right out of college. I actually did one summer before I graduated. I started at Lifetime and then eventually ended up carrying on after graduating. So glad to be here on behalf of Inner City Tennis.
All right, thanks, Jose. Lois, we're going over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Lois Arterberry, and I'm currently the head women's tennis coach at the University of Minnesota. Go Gophers. This is my second season here, currently smack dab in the middle of season. And this is my 6th college stop. Got into coaching at the collegiate level right out of college as well. GA'd at Southern University, where I played. GA'd there for 2 years, and then moved on to being the head women's and men's coach at Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi. Had a brief stop at Eastern Illinois. Volunteered at University of North Carolina, Asheville. Volunteered at University of Missouri, and was the assistant coach there as well. And then went from there to University of St. Thomas, and now I'm at the University of Minnesota. So a lot of bouncing around, but yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be on this call.
Thank you. I wouldn't say that's bouncing around. I'd say that's making the climb.
Making the climb.
One step at a time. That's impressive.
Yeah.
All right, Gordon, over to you.
All right, Gordon Reid, Lifetime, been at the location I'm based out of in Eden Prairie, known as Flagship, since 1992, and been tennis pro and junior director, and then tennis director, and then a regional person, and now national, overseeing tennis and pickleball operations across the country with a couple of other people as well. But based really out of that same club since September 1992. So a long time, with one stop as a tennis director at the St. Louis Park Club. So it's all with the same organization. I think that's where I am currently, and travel luckily across the country to visit a few of our locations here and there, and oversee the education piece. So along with, as Marc does for USTA Northern section, I oversee the education piece for tennis on the Lifetime side.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, it's quite a panel, and this is I'm excited to kind of get into some of these questions and hopefully learning something new about you all. And of course, we all kind of go back in various ways, shapes, and forms too over the years, and it's just great that we're all in the same area. I don't take that for granted. So, we all just kind of did our introductions, and we gave a little bit of insight to what we're doing, and just want to almost stay on that topic a little bit, and just so what can you tell us about how you got your start in the tennis industry, and what led you to your current role now? And I know, Lois, you already kind of gave a pretty good synopsis of that, but we'll throw that back over to you. Can you give us a little more insights about how you got your start and how you ended up where you are?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from the island Grenada, so it's in the Caribbean, and I grew up playing tennis there. I always said that the sport sort of chose me. It's a really small island, 120,000 people, and I did track and field before tennis. And the way it worked in my island, it was like one head coach for like the entire country that like goes to the primary schools. We call them primary schools. You guys call them elementary schools, and goes and introduces the sports to athletes. And then you can do after school programming if you would like. And so that's kind of how I started. He came to my primary school. The teachers I went to an all-girls school, chose 20 girls and was like, hey, like, go try the sport during your PE hour. And so I started with 20 girls, and I was the only one that continued like doing the after school programming. And this was with the ITF COTEC program. And so, they gave us all the equipment and everything, like all the after school programming, all of that was like free, So I grew up really not paying for tennis at all. And then my first tournament, I was 10. I played my first tournament, won the first tournament. And then that's kind of where the interest really started like peaking, because I was competitive. And so I kind of slowed down on the track and field, got fully involved in the tennis. And so I started representing Grenada as a country from age 12. I played in some ITF tournaments to represent the country. And it just kind of went from there, like throughout my entire junior career, just played ITFs in different countries. And then I got a tennis scholarship, actually from one of the ITFs. There was a coach. I don't know if you guys know Bill Adams out of Florida, but he's a prominent guy. He passed recently, but he just kind of merged Caribbean tennis with tennis in the US as well. And then he saw me playing, and he called my coach at Southern University and was like, I got a girl for you. And, the coach called me right after, and we communicated. And that's when I became a Jaguar, and I played for Southern University for 3 years, won 3 championships, played at the NCAAs 3 times. And then after that, I was like, wow, like I really enjoy the collegiate space. Like I feel like I can make a big impact in this area. And so he gave me an opportunity to GA for 2 years. And then that's where my career started. Became a head coach at age 25 for Jackson State University. Won in my first year there on the men's side, won the SWAC championship, and gave them an opportunity to go to the NCAAs, which was the first time in 18 years that the men's team won the conference title. So it was a lot of good stuff from there. And then it was just like, okay, how can I climb the ladder? Like I know where I knew what my goals were. Like I wanted to be at the Power 5 level. And so for me, I thought it was best to just do anything that I can do to continue to climb, because it's not very easy for us all the time to get these high level jobs, especially like coming from a small school, in the SWAC, like you're not getting very many looks. And so like I did some really unconventional things. I went from being a head coach to volunteering to being an assistant, and then just kind of working my way back up to now where I am today. So that's a little bit of my journey.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's incredible. And it's funny. I still remember when I moved back from South Carolina to Minnesota, and I know the pandemic had started, and I was at baseline.
Yeah.
And we both had masks on. I was like, wait a minute.
Yep.
I know this person.
Yeah, you also certified me BTR. So let's not forget that part. When I was at Jackson State on my first stop. So good for you.
It's incredible too. I can probably count on my 2 hands the number of women that have coached Division I men's programs. That's so that's probably a whole nother story that we'll have to get into someday too. But
yes.
Love you sharing that information. Gordon, I'm going to go over to you. So a little bit about how you kind of got your start and what led you to where you're at now.
Yeah, Lois, that is an incredible story. I love hearing about primary school in Grenada and everything. My parents are from Jamaica, so
nice.
so I was born in Canada. So, but I love hearing your story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, growing up in Canada, I played hockey. Go Canada at the Four Nations Cup. Thank you very much. Quite a few of my American friends were asking me, who are you going to cheer for? You've lived here for so long. And I said, I can't even believe you're going to ask that question. If you're a Vikings fan and you move to Green Bay, like where Marc's going for this wedding in May, how long would it take for you to go from being a Vikings fan to a Packers fan? Well, they're all like, never. Said, thank you. End of story. Canada, all the way. So anyway, but growing up in Canada, I played tons of different sports, and tennis was about the last sport that I got into, and it truly just happened by chance. I was visiting my mom. My parents had divorced when I was younger, so I was visiting my mom near Toronto, and she was at work all day, and I was looking in the basement for something to do, and I came upon a racket, a wood racket and tennis ball. And at that time, I'd watched some Wimbledon or US Open and things like that. But I'm 15 at that point and just was bored. And so I found the ball and a racket and went to a school and hit against a wall and just fell in love by hitting against a school wall day after day. And then found a court and took a few of these balls. And as you can well imagine, my mom was not a tennis player, nor was her husband at the time. And so these balls were not in good shape, and nor were the racket. So I took a bag of balls and found a court and started practicing serves. And then by the time that month was over, I went back home to Winnipeg and found people to play with on public courts. A good friend of mine who we're still connected to this day. He sent me a picture of the courts that we played at for the last 10 years. I mean, it is cement. The net is a metal net that wasn't very tight or taut. So if you hit a ball, we always remember this, depending on what side of the net you were playing from, if you hit a ball and it hit the net even halfway up the net, it would roll over the net onto the court. So these were not great courts, but
I need that kind of net, by the way.
there we go. I could totally use that kind of net today. So at least if I could always stay on the right side of it. So anyway, that was my start with tennis, and eventually I was able to join the tennis club and practice and get some instruction and group lessons and things of that nature. And then one thing led to another. I ended up knowing I wanted to play tennis in college, so I wrote to a bunch of schools. And I purchased a book from the USTA that they put out that just listed all of the collegiate tennis programs, whether NCAA, Division 1, 2, 3, or junior college or NAIA and everything. So I picked 40 schools in that book to write letters to and send kind of a resume. And that would have been, goodness, 1986. Late 86 into early 87. And one of the schools I picked was Gustavus. And so that was where we ended up going to visit and chose that school and ended up enrolling there in fall of 87. And then from there, graduated and started working at Flagship Athletic Club. And so, and then, I guess somewhat similar journey in terms of just step by step going from tennis pro to junior director and on up, and played quite a bit too, as Marc and I have competed against each other here and there, and but not over the last 10 years, as I ended up with a wrist injury. So my playing days are over.
At Nationals, man.
We were part of that. There we go. That's right. Oh gosh, yes, that was back in what? We're talking like early 2000s, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Crazy. So anyway, but yeah, so that's kind of been my career. So so it's been quite a long journey, and it's not over yet. I still have at least a few more years in me of teaching, and really enjoy what I do, and just being able to while I don't teach as much as I used to, more of my job now is is hiring teachers and training teachers and mentoring teachers and trying to spread my love of the game, to as many people as I can, and have those people go out and do the same, on a much larger scale. So I try to remove obstacles and barriers for our coaches so that they can go and do what they do best. So, so that is my journey.
Awesome. It's funny. You mentioned about hitting against the wall. I remember in Arizona when we did go to nationals, I think you warmed up against the wall. And I remember thinking, it's like, man, this guy's legit. Hands.
That's really funny. I don't remember doing that, but yeah, that was truly how I started, was hitting against a wall. That's so funny. And you don't see that a whole lot anymore. I mean, that does not exist. One of our lifetime clubs across the 30 clubs we own has a backboard, so. Oh, and I always love going to. It's one of my favorite clubs to go to, apart from my own. So I think that's probably why, because they have a backboard, and that's how I grew up. That's how I learned.
I need to bring the backboard back one of these days. We'll
Exactly.
see. So we've all kind of turned the clock back a little bit. It was good to reminisce. We'll turn the clock back just a little bit, because we got more of a younger, fresher face here that is going to give us his intro. Jose, sorry, I'm picking on your young age. My apologies.
Oh, no worries. No problem. No, I'll take it, Marc, as long as I can.
Yes, enjoy it while you can.
It's funny. I'm seeing a bit of a theme here, Marc, because my family also originates from the Caribbean, that being Jamaica, Wagwan.
Canada, Jamaica. I love this.
Right. But I was born and raised in South Minneapolis, inner city area. And that's actually where my tennis journey started. Playing at inner city tennis. My father, fortunately for me, I come from a tennis family. My father, a longtime inner city tennis pro, as also a director. So I fortunately had access to things like rackets and balls and shoes and coaching, for that matter. And so it's my first sport. Loved it. I mean, I fell in love with the sport from a young age. My father being also a high school tennis coach. Some of my earliest tennis memories are just getting picked up from school and going straight to his high school practices, where I was just around the sport, fully immersed. And I mean, I've always been a competitor. And I mean, I was 6 years old, 7 years old, going out there hitting with the high schoolers. And I was like, yeah, this is my spot. I was here. And it's funny looking back on it now, because I think that's honestly one of the main reasons why, it's one of the main things that I attribute my current success to, was just being immersed from a young age and having tons and tons of resources to use. And, I mean, even if there was a kid on the team who wasn't great, I was the kid on the sidelines, like, hey, you want to go hit on the last court, So, I mean, my interest in tennis started from a very young age, and that's carried out through my life up until this point. But played high school tennis for Minnehaha Academy, a Minneapolis private school. Played 6 years there, and then eventually went on to play collegiate tennis at the Division II level out in Buffalo, New York. Played there for 4 years. Had some success. We were part of the East Coast Conference, so with that, we got to travel. And honestly, from a young age, I never imagined myself being in that position. So being able to travel the country and play the sport I love was just a huge blessing. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, definitely not. But I definitely credit tennis to being, just like the backbone in my life. I couldn't really imagine my life without tennis. And I think it's really helped shape me into the person, professional that I am today. Tons and tons of resources. I mean, being a part of the Northern section, USTA Northern section, I think we all know that it's a smaller section comparatively. And, you know, you made a lot of people that you'll, as long as you're in it, you'll continue to know and use as resources for however long that may be. So yeah, my story is kind of starts and up to this point ends in the Northern section, where I've met tons and tons of coaches and friends, and you know, it's been a great experience for me thus far. So I guess that's ultimately led me into my role now. Like I said, I'm the college connections coordinator at Intercity, and I've been doing in this role for about a year now, and that's been great. Previously, being a part of the Lifetime family, I was basically just a tennis pro, and now stepped into a new role where I have a little bit more of a leadership in helping juniors and high schoolers, you know, live their dreams and play collegiate tennis, if that's what they so choose. So a bit of a liaison in a sense, just connecting the bridge between, you know, high schoolers and college.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing too, Jose. It's interesting. And all the stories that everyone shared just now reminds me of something I recently was touring Howard University with my daughter. This is just a couple weeks ago, and one of the tour guides said something to the effect of your network is your net worth. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I've never really heard that before, but that just kind of hearing your all stories and the people that have helped shape your lives and help kind of get you to where you are now, it just kind of harkens back to that quote I heard. So I'll probably be using that. I'll steal that quote from my but yeah, your network is your net worth. I love it. So actually, I want to, Jose, actually, we'll stick with you, and then we'll pass it along too. But of all the things, of all the advice that you've learned over the years, what has stuck with you the most?
Definitely, you know, this one comes from a guy I'm sure you all may know, Bruce Gullickson, who's been a long time coach. I mean, he's probably close to 100 by now. But
being recorded, you know that, right?
Yes.
I had to take a jab. If I have the chance, I got to take a jab at Bruce.
Yeah. You mean 100 in terms of years of wisdom?
Exactly.
There we go.
But no, I actually was fortunate enough to meet Bruce and get connected with him at a young age. This was, I believe, I was 12 or 13 years old, a part of the Northern section Northern Lights team, which was basically a group of maybe 20 to 25 of the top Northern tennis players at the time. And we would get together once a month and we would just do a huge clinic. It was 6 hours. And at the time, as a 12-year-old, I was like, man, this is all day, you know? But we would just compete, and, you know, we were competitive with one another, and we had a lot of fun, and we just had great coaching. Also.
Uh-oh.
We lost him. Bruce must have heard that he made some snide comment about his age and sabotaged our call.
We'll let him come back and finish his thought. But Lois, I'll throw that over to you. What advice over the years has really stuck with you?
Yeah, for me, it's just persevering. You know, like this has been a journey for me, at least. And you know, there's times where you have doubt, and you doubt yourself, and you doubt the path that you've chosen, and you doubt the career. But one thing that always, you know, gets me going, and that's a reminder to myself, is you have to persevere, and things are not always going to be easy. But if you give up, like, you're just giving into the negative thoughts, kind of like what we tell our players on a daily basis, when, they're in their mind, it's, oh, I'm not having a good day, I'm not playing well. Like, you can't give into that. Like, you have to shut it down. And so just persevering and just knowing that you can do literally anything that you put your mind to. And as long as you have a creative mindset, like, you can literally make something out of nothing. And so that's just how I've been navigating, my path. Like, everywhere, every stop that I've gone, I've treated it as what it is. Some places I've been had limited resources, but, like, I made the most out of it, and I was able to do some creative stuff with that. And then you have, places where there's more resources, and still maybe in comparison to some is not as much resources, but it's like, you can do things with that as well. And so just those two things, being creative and persevering through this career has been really, really important for me. Yeah,
it definitely does take perseverance. I think, I think most tennis people, they usually don't go into the industry thinking that this is going to be their life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of
Yeah.
challenges and bumpy things that we have to face. So I definitely resonate with perseverance being something that can really stick with you for sure.
Yeah.
Jose, you get a chance to finish up your thought about Bruce.
Yeah, sorry about
very
that.
intrigued
Sorry
by
about
that.
that.
You're good.
I think what was that? I was talking about Northern Lights. Yeah, and so through that experience, I got to meet a few amazing coaches who really helped inspire me to be really ultimately the best tennis player, competitor, and also person that I could be. And Bruce is a big reason for that. Also, his advice to me was just whatever it was that you were passionate about, or whether it was involving tennis or just life in general, just to attack it, one step at a time. Just put the one foot in front of the next, essentially. Don't necessarily feel like everything you do needs to be perfect. None of us are perfect, but the real competitors, the real champions, are the ones who continue to put the next foot forward. And that stuck with me. Like I said, not only through tennis, but also, my academic career, my professional career, and also even in my personal life, personal relationships. Just, continue to do the best that you can, and just put one foot in front of the next.
Like, it's pretty sound advice from probably one of the best sages in the tennis industry, with Bruce Gogson there. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jose. And kind of similar question. And I'll start with you, Gordon. This we'll actually go to the next one here. But what is something outside of tennis that has had a profound influence on your tennis career?
I'd say just reading and trying to educate myself on whether it's been nutrition or it's been exercise or business. I feel like all of those things have helped me grow just as a person, and have helped me to be able to communicate better to other people and find things of common interest. Because part of whether it's teaching a student or group of students, or much more so in my current role where I'm on the court a little bit, but it's more interacting with all of the Minnesota tennis leaders for lifetime, or the Minnesota travel league coaches, or the tennis leaders across 30 clubs, or the pickleball leaders across 136 clubs. Being able to find common threads of being able to connect with people on a deeper level I really feel like just the continuing education piece in whatever area, for me, as I mentioned, it's, science or nutrition or it's exercise or it's business. Those are the things I'm passionate about. But for somebody to be able to find the things that they're passionate about, it could be art and film and music. Diving into those things, then you find that you're able to connect with people on a different and deeper level. So I feel like that's what it's been for me, just continuing education in my areas of passion.
Yeah, and I like that it's more than just the sport of tennis too. That really shapes us. And I think a lot of times as people that are in the industry for a long time, we get stuck in our echo chamber, and it's all we do is just kind of take in this continuous tennis only view of things and tennis only information, but just being able to step outside of the box a little bit and see how we can apply other areas to improve us as people, to even improve ourselves in the industry. I just feel like there's a lot of info out there that people can benefit from that may not be traditional tennis stuff.
Well, and your mention about the echo chamber, it's so much more prevalent, because you can truly find anything that takes you down a rabbit hole that just confirms all of your prior knowledge and all of your biases, right? Which, we could get into a much deeper, darker conversation about that we probably don't want to delve into today.
We'll save that one for the next one for sure.
Exactly.
Well, but yeah, I just think it even gets compounded even more. So I think being a coach of color, even a Black coach in the industry too, it can be daunting. I think just finding a way to fit in a way. So I think, and to me, just hearing other perseverance-based stories that other athletes have gone through in other sports, that's kind of where my mind goes when I get that question, is just being able to resonate with other people. Because again, we're athletes and coaches. It doesn't necessarily have to be tennis specific. So I always kind of gravitate towards those other stories. Well, I know there's two more questions I wanted to get to, and I wanted to let everybody at least say their part for these last two questions. I think they're important ones to share. And so actually, Jose, I'll go back to you. But what is a challenge you've had to face in recent years, and how have you responded to that challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of touched on this right as I was rejoining, but the notion that a lot of tennis professionals now getting started didn't necessarily see themselves doing it, as a career, and I'm kind of, coming. I'm kind of in that position right now where long time tennis player, and like we talked about before, the northern section is more of a tight knit family type of a feeling, right? Where you're right, you recognize faces, as you've been a part of it, and you see them again and again. So getting started initially, I thought this was more of a product of my upbringing and being a part of that community that allowed me to have this opportunity. But now it was really, for a little bit at least, was hard for me personally to decide is this the route that I want to continue to pursue and give my energy towards. Obviously I'm 25 now, and I've got a lot of other friends that are in different career paths, which is great. But just being like, hey, am I in the right place? Should I be looking to get my foot in the door in other areas? And that challenge was hard. I really wasn't sure, and it may have even held me back in a way from committing to this career 100%. But in the last year or so, I think I've revitalized that passion for tennis that I've had. And I see these kids that I work with every day who would just remind me of myself so much. And that's been super rewarding to be in this position that I am now, to give the best advice, the best feedback that I can. And then to see their response is even more rewarding. And it's more reassuring. That lets me know, hey, I'm here for a reason. This isn't a coincidence. This isn't just because, oh, you're a player from the Northern section. I recognize you. I recognize your dad, or whatever that may be. I'm here for a reason, and I definitely have a lot to offer and bring to the table. So just kind of finding that motivation again has been, a great experience. And I'm glad to be in the position I am now, to share and give back to the next generation, the next wave of future professionals. But yeah.
That's great. And I think being in a position where you feel rewarded and not necessarily having that reward be tied to your bank account, right? I mean, that's huge,
Mm-hmm.
And I say that in jest, but I mean, that's ultimately what I think anybody wants, is to be, to do something that is rewarding,
Mm-hmm.
especially from an intrinsic standpoint. So thank you, Jose. Lois, kind of same question. Any challenges you have faced recently, and how did you respond to them?
Oh man. I think honestly, like just being, a woman, a colored woman at that, just navigating this space of being a collegiate coach. I think the challenge of that, I faced it my entire career. Just being given an opportunity to show what you can actually do. That has been a struggle, like for me, looking at jobs that you're qualified for, that you can get, and, not getting a lot of those jobs. And, but I'm grateful for the journey that I had, because like I said, having to persevere has been like one of the top things for me throughout my career, even though at some points, like I, thought about maybe not doing it. And it's because of those outside factors, that you can't really control, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would say just, the challenge of getting opportunities has been one that I've had to battle throughout the years. And I'm really glad that, I'm here now, like at Minnesota, and I was given that opportunity to kind of showcase what I can do. And I've already made like significant changes within the program. And I mean, there's a long way to go, and a lot more to do, but it's something that like I am, of course, like up to doing, like really, getting the program back on track again. And we're on the path to doing that. Look, we're ranked 52 today.
Hey,
Congratulations. That's awesome.
And it was really good for me to see, like it kind of helped me as well, because sometimes you're validating your athletes and you're doing all of that, and just getting that validation for yourself too, that like you're on the right track. Like sometimes you need that. Like I felt happy about it, because this is the highest that I've been as a coach, like had a program ranked, and I know we can get there. And it's going to take time, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of dedication, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and I wake up every day excited to do. So, that was some of the challenges I faced, but you got to push through so that you can feel the way that I feel today. Or else, you can't quit. You can't quit. That's it. Now you just got to persevere.
And I was just thinking too, just going back to when we first met at Jackson State, and fast forward to when we reconnected in Minnesota. It wasn't that much time in between those two periods of time, but you were in a lot of different places.
Yeah,
I just think that takes resiliency, and obviously that perseverance, that resiliency has definitely paid off.
Yes.
And we'll continue to do so because I'll be slacking this season. I'll be out there supporting y'all. I promise.
Look, we play Wisconsin this weekend. You better be out there, okay? We need all the support we can get.
My daughter might be going to Madison, so I'll have to make sure she's not wearing those colors.
Yes.
There you go.
I will never not cheer for you, Lois.
It's a goal.
There we go.
It's a gold out game. So wear your gold this weekend.
That's right. I love that.
Well, here actually, I'm gonna get into the last question. I'll actually turn it over to Gordon, and then we'll actually let everyone answer this one here. But what would you like to see happen within the tennis industry going forward? It's a very broad question, but if there's something you'd like to see happen within the tennis industry, what would you like to see?
I think that the biggest thing is we have to appeal to coaches that are not only from diverse backgrounds, but around the age of Jose, right? Because, being here at this PTR International Symposium, and Marc, you know this as well or better than I do, the average age of our coaches is my age, right? It's 58. So
yeah, but you look great.
Well, I appreciate that. Tennis has kept me looking young. So, but every year it's just getting older and older and older, right? So 10 years ago, the average age of the tennis coach was, 48. So we are not getting enough young people dynamic and energized into the teaching profession. So that would be the biggest thing. And I think if we can accomplish that, as well as change a few of our strategies around attracting new players and retaining those players, I think it kind of starts with having a lot more coaches in that same age group as well.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. And actually, I'm just now thinking about this too. Just having the three of you on this call, you all are currently in kind of different positions, right? And so I'm very excited to kind of hear some of the other answers too. So actually, let's go over to we'll go to Jose. We'll ask you that one. You since you got name dropped, you're the future of our industry. So,
exactly.
What would you like to see
pressure.
in the future?
I think I definitely like to see, similar to what Gordon said, I'd love to see more, whether it be a clinic or maybe just an informational a meeting. I would love for there to be more opportunity for young professionals like myself to do or get to the point where maybe Lois is at. I've always imagined, the idea of being a head coach of a program, right? But like we've been talking about, it is a little daunting, right? As a professional or a coach of color, because you maybe don't feel like that people are looking for you, right? I mean, even though you may be qualified and you've done all the things that are required of a head coach, do I look the part? Are people going to look at me and see that vision that I see for myself? So having the opportunity just to be a part of a group, a professional group that is there. I mean, even something like this. I mean, when you reached out to me, Marc, I was so excited. I was like, this sounds great. This sounds like exactly like something that I would be interested in and should be in, right? But unfortunately, it's one of those things that come far and in between. So to have the opportunity to be in the same in the room, right, in the conversation, and just whether you're contributing or just listening and taking it all in, right? Stuff like this is definitely what I love to see more of, because I mean, this is great. I'm definitely engaged in, taking in as much as I can, and just using this to help propel for what's next. So, I mean, again, thank you for inviting me, being a part of this, because this is a great opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Lois and Gordon don't know this, but yeah, when Jose, as soon as you graduated college and we're back here, I was all up in your business trying to recruit you.
Love it.
And I know you were balancing, teaching and doing something. I think it was in software, if I'm not mistaken. So, you made the right decision. You're where you need to be. Trust me.
Thank you. That's reassuring, Mark. I needed that.
Lois, so you'll close us out with that final question. What would you like to see change in the industry moving forward?
Yeah, I think, just kind of what Gordon and Jose said, just, creating a space where we can mentor young athletes, like on this path of what it's like to be a coach and what it's going to take. And then just the different areas that you can go into in terms of coaching, coaching at the collegiate area, at the professional area, at the recreational area, like, what path do they see themselves, and just kind of navigating it, like helping them navigate through it. Like, of course, like I'm coaching 10 girls right now. And, sometimes when they're not playing and they're watching from the outside and they see the things that we see, they get into it and they're like, yeah, like you didn't do this thing. And then their brain starts going off. I can see myself doing some coaching, and that's where me as a coach, I'm like, you want to coach? Like, what do you want? Like I'm excited about it. Now I want to help you to get into it. And of course, we would love to see more women in coaching. That's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. If you go look at what collegiate coaching looks like, there's way more men coaching female sports, female programs on a tennis level. So it's like, getting more female coaches in there, and you have 10, sometimes 12 athletes that you're working with. If you can get one person out every year that's coaching tennis, and you're a good role model for them and something that they aspire to be, how can we create that space, and how can we mentor them to not just sending them out there and, blindly, but hey, come on, let's GA. You can come in and ask questions. You can volunteer. Like, I'll teach you, the things that I have done, and you can create your own way, but just giving them, some tools to help them in the spaces that they would like to go. Just that mentee mentor type of thing, I think would be really good to see. I didn't really have it, I kind of went in, of course, like I worked with my coach at GA for like 2 years, but like the administrative side of things, I knew nothing about it, I had to learn everything like on the spot. And it's like, those things helped me to where now I can help my assistant coaches to kind of navigate that path of what it's like. So just having that would be really good, at least for our space.
Yeah. I think that's definitely speaks volumes too. I think even just having the industry itself is just it is kind of patchwork. I kind of used the example earlier. I mean, I got into it as a history major, and it was just a buffer for law school, and that buffer turned into a career.
Yeah.
But imagine there being a support system in place and things in place that actually allowed people to willingly go into the industry with the idea that, I'm going to turn this into a career. And, here's my network, here are my options that I have to work with, and just kind of climb from there. So definitely got a ways to go to I think make something like that happen. But I do know this. I know the three of you are for sure a testament to the power of tennis and what it can bring and the journeys it can lead us on. And again, I can't thank you enough for doing this and sharing your stories, sharing your thoughts. So we'll kind of I'll stop recording, and we can kind of get on with our days. But I guess I'll just leave you and our future viewers with probably my favorite quote, but I think it ties into what you all were talking about. And Lois, how you ended your question there. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.